Hello, everybody. This is Bart Sharp, and welcome to Becoming Quantum Conscious on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3, broadcasting out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. And we are also seen on the UPRN website, on cable television, Roku, and YouTube, Twitter, or X, as I seem to always get those things misplaced, and Facebook. And we're on other broadcasting networks around the world. And we are waiting for our guest today. Uh, and it may be a really improv show um, happening. So I am just going to start talking about what really is interesting me and just remind people that we have a chat. If you have questions for me, please bring them on. And for me right now, I am on day 7 of a 10-day spiritual tour, Mary Michael and France tours, as I lead tours. I'm a tour guide here in Southwest France and am leading that transition. On day 7, things are a little bit gnarly a bit because you've been doing energy work for 7 days, um, and it expands you every place you go, and you keep expanding and expanding and more expansion. And then the next day you do another potent site, and the day after that there might be 3. So as a tour guide, I'm facilitating this and getting all of these things done and driving the van as well. So it's a pretty gnarly discipline with that. And yeah, I think I've used gnarly twice. I guess it's a really good word for it. The thing about energy is you keep expanding at these sacred sites, and it takes you to places that you've never been, and your body is trying to acclimate to those things. And as I tell people, when you're doing this type of work and you're having these big changes, it could be that you are, in Southwest France doing energy work, or you're at the Giza Pyramid, or you're doing a lot of meditation, or your own styles of energy work, and you start to feel this spaciness and a little bit of disorientation. You might be tired, and it's really funny with the group right now. They're really talking about how tired their muscles are. And I'm in that group too. We're doing a lot of walking, but not so much that should be happening. And one of the more important things that you need to do is pull more energy into your body. In other words, you are of Earth. I mean, maybe some of you aren't of Earth and you're listening in from another planet, or you feel like you're from another planet, or you don't feel like you really belong here. But most of us are from Earth, and we got human bodies. And so the Earth is one of our best friends, so to speak, to keep us balanced. And so you want to pull more energy into your body. And this is like so important to do, is to keep just visualizing the flow of the earth coming up through your feet or into your perineum and just giving you more energy there. It really works. It's wonderful. And it will clear out a lot of the gloppiness, so to speak, because all of those things are really important. And we want to say hi to Julie Evans. How you doing, Julie? Great you're here. Um, So the show is going to be a lot about a spontaneous thing. I got a message from Jeff, and I think they're trying to get on Jeff Carriera, and hopefully they will be coming in here, and we'll start talking about transdimensional spirituality soon. If not, we're going to be talking about doing energy work and all forms of that, and particularly going to sacred sites because that's where I'm at now. But I'm open for any type of questions about energy work because I've been doing it for quite a few years and consider myself a master at doing shamanistic work and also intuitive parts of sacred sites, particularly here in southern France. And it's been really interesting working with this group. There's a group of 6 people on this tour, just enough to fit into a 9-person van comfortably. That's kind of how I gauge how you should do a tour. Is they can all fit in a van comfortably, and you can go down narrow roads because a lot of the really cool sites are on dirt roads or places where nobody goes. And you can't do that in a really big bus. So keeping it simple, keeping it small is a good thing with that. And one of the people in the group was saying, well, I really don't know what energy really is. And he's a he was a mechanical or an engineer in a more of a mechanical line, as I understand it. Logical brain, but has a wife he adores that is totally into this stuff and can see fairies or talk to fairies and sense things. And, he's asking that question, well, how do you do that stuff? I see you do it. And what happens with me is my face may squinch up. I start yawning or my eyes start blinking. It's because I tuned into something that has a different vibration than me, maybe a more expansive vibration. And therefore, my body reacts to it. And how it reacts to it is by my face squinches up like that. So he's watching this, looking like I'm eating a lemon or something. And he's like, how do I get there? What do I need to do? And the most important thing, if you're more of a body-based person as a psychic, you you feel what vibrations change when something that you're focused on happens. He's focusing on me, but he may be at a sacred site and wanting to feel what this certain tree or this statue or something like that feels like. And what I say is the body is kind of a sensual organ. It has a sensuality in that it perceives all of these vibrations. He feels these vibrations. And you just want to tune into when you touch a sacred site, or maybe you go into your backyard and you just touch the tree that's, a big oak tree or something, for example, and you touch it and you go, I wonder what that feels like. And all of a sudden, your body feels different. And it feels maybe more calm if you're touching a tree. And that's your body giving you a message. This is the vibration. This is what the tree feels like in your vibrational vocabulary. And therefore, you start to pick it up. This is like psychic abilities 101. And so it's really great stuff to tune into this type of stuff and to start to feel this vibration. And on the other end, if you're really angry about something and you feel that sensation of anger, that's just another vibration. And so you want to feel where that anger is and what that intensity um, is. So we got a question, does it just happen or does it take practice? And I'd say, yes, Juliet Evans, it happens and it takes practice, and how you're paying attention to it is everything. In other words, I always ask questions. That's a great question. Thank you so much. So, in other words, if somebody's angry, maybe I'm working on repressed anger with somebody. That's a lot what I do in my business work. And I ask the questions like, well, what does your anger feel like? And I will feel the sensation either in their body or my body or both. Through practice, you can tune it to where you can feel both at the same time. And maybe it's best to feel it in their body. Sometimes it's better to feel it in your body. You basically have choice with that. But your body will always show you if you ask questions. And I'm always asking plenty of questions. Let me think of a great example with that. Um, so I drowned when I was 2 years old, almost died, near death experience, really pleasant. Uh, Changed my life. Got to talk to angels, I suspect. But all of my life, I felt like I wasn't in my body because I was leaving my body to go die because I was having a near death experience. Somehow my mother revived me, came back into my body, came back alive, but I was never in my body so much. So I was asking a question to my body: what did it feel like to, be in that near death experience? And I just felt a lot of vibration above my head, way up above my head, like 10 feet. And and the sensation was, and it's really important to trust whatever you're getting. And I just felt myself leaving. And that was the sensation. And I got all of that by being focused on my body and asking a question. And my body was trying to show me what that sensation was. And this is something that affected me all my life. I was always out of my body. So, of course, the next step would be is to pay attention to what happened to me, and then coax that part to come back into my body. And it's almost like paying attention to, what did it feel like as that little bitty boy that fell into this hole in the ground face first and being submerged in the water immediately and being trapped in a hole, because that's what happened. That's what my my parents told me. And after a couple of minutes being stuck there, they pulled me out. Long story there. But I just got that, I was asking my body, what did that feel like? And the body showed me it felt like it was highly scary and traumatizing. Now, there's a really important aspect about my process in this is I'm very curious. I do not judge it as bad and wrong, like, oh, that was an awful time. No, you had to take that out the window and never go there. You just calmly and curiously ask questions and place no judgment on any of it. And the reason why you do that is as soon as you start labeling it as bad, or as awful, or, oh my God, that was, nobody should face that. Your body becomes afraid. It becomes less willing to show you what had really happened, because you're basically telling your body, oh, I really don't want to explore that sensation because I'm afraid of it. And the body will always respond to what you're doing. So, as I was talking to this man, I'm telling him, like, just be curious with this. Be relaxed. And as you go to these sacred sites, Pay attention to what's going on inside of you all the time. Feel it expand. Feel your heart or feel your second chakra because because they all give you information. You never know what a sacred site's going to tell you. You just have to go and experience it and see how it expands you. And that's quite the beauty of it. And on the other hand, it's really funny because the book we were going to cover today was Transdimensional Spirituality by Jeff Carriera. And he's really talking about this stuff. He's talking about how we have a normal, mundane body. And if we want to get to this higher elevation, we have to really be in tune with our body, which more than likely means you have to know what your feelings are, know what you're afraid of, know how you have limited yourself. In other words, know your stories and begin to feel those stories. And the more that you clear that out, then you're able to do the soul work. In other words, comprehend or perceive these higher vibrations. And you just open up to it. Your awareness starts to tune in. And that's so true for so many of us. It's very much a body-based experience. At least that's how it works for me. Now, I know there's other people that they go to sites and angels or other beings are talking to them, or their spirit guides are telling them various things. And that's a different type of perspective. And I'm not in that school. It's not like I condemn that type of school. I just don't, that's not in my skill set. I teach body-based type of awareness. And I think it's great because your body will tell you a lot of things. And when you're going to sacred sites, they work on you. The more you clear out this stuff and the more you have experiences, they work. And if you are in one of your in your home, maybe in a normal place like Austin, Texas, that's where my home is. There's not all of these great sacred sites around. It's a little more bland, but there is plenty of references you can tune into to develop your psychic abilities. And for me, how I developed this stuff is I would go sit by trees and feel the vibrations of trees. I would then maybe feel the vibration of the earth below me. I would just tune into the earth and go, what does the earth below me feel like? And I would feel this sensation happening in my body just in response to the question. And it would be like, well, off I go. I can start to, have that. And, it's just that easy. And the most important thing is just to trust. You're starting to learn a new vocabulary, basically. Vibrational communication. That's basically it. I don't think there's really an official word for it. But it's what the word I like to use is perceiving. It's not like seeing, it's not like feeling. It's having a perceptual ability that uses a variety of senses. Senses that we are beyond the 5 basic senses. And they're all there. We have tons of extrasensory systems inside of us. As a matter of fact, one of my previous guests, Hakeem Awan, who is an expert in Egyptian chematology, says we have 360 sensory awareness systems. Just like chew on that for a minute. 360 sensory awareness systems beyond your 5 basic systems of seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, and tasting. You know, that all seems so mundane when you think about 360 of them, but it's true. We have lots of sensory systems, and the best way that you can learn is to ask your body to show you things and to give you awarenesses of different situations. And it's invitations and questions. That is the key to opening that stuff up. So when I'm talking to this guy in the tour group, I'm just telling him, wow, just go to these sites and put your hands on the place and pay attention to your gut, pay attention to your heart, and see how it expands. And then if you want to play around, you might say, oh, well, I wonder what it's like for Bob over here on the side. I wonder what he's feeling right now. What's the sensation inside of his body? That's another great question to ask, because this guy was trying to understand my vibrations. So, of course, it's just a matter of asking questions. And I'm always asking these questions when I'm at a sacred site. It's like, what else is there that this site can show me? And this is really a question that is always there. It's always fun to go into these sacred sites because they're full of clues, lots of clues. And they're old clues, like hundreds of years old, because these churches in Southwest France are anywhere from 500 to uh, 1400 years old. And there's a lot of history there. There's artwork, there's statues, there's things carved in the wall. And a lot of times, those are the messages that people put there hundreds of years ago. So those who are curious could find out. And it really makes you think that, well, these people 1300 years ago were in tune to this stuff. They knew that there was a spiritual experience beyond listening to the words in a Bible. Maybe the Bible was great, and maybe reading those chapters were really enlightening, but they were also tuned to something else that was more profound. We had a guest on about 6 weeks ago, Perdita Finn and Clark Strand, and they were talking about their book, The Way of the Rose. And in The Way of the Rose, this is about the rosary beads. And the rosary has been, being practiced for 5, 10, 15,000 years. A long time. And, once you get beyond to saying the prayers, and of course the prayers changed over the years, you just get into the vibration of calmness. You get into the vibration of your body turning on to a calm vibration inside of you, an internal sense of wholeness that's calm, that's reassuring, that connects you to your own self-love. That's the whole point of the rosary, is to have this simple practice. People have been doing it for centuries. And so, there's all of these practices that open our spirituality up. And to tell you an example of this, um, one of my favorite churches as of recently, this happened yesterday, we went to the city of Tarascon, sur Arge. So that means that it's in the Arge region, which is in the Pyrenees, high up in the mountains, the land where the Cathars lived and where they held their most holy places, is in Tarascon and Assat-Laban. So there's a church there, Notre Dame Bart's. And it's really interesting that this church was built under the leadership of King Charlemagne, because King Charlemagne was at this site where the church was built, and Mother Mary appeared to him. And Charlemagne changed. He became a much more kinder and less military ambitious man. That's a good way to explain it. So he just had that part. And it's interesting enough, there's a lot of people who believe that it might have not been Mother Mary that blessed him that day, that it might have been a being called the White Goddess, because much of this land in this area has had a lot of White Goddess sightings. They're just all over the Pyrenees. You have a different vibration. This land vibrates, and you can just feel the light coming out of it. It's just incredible. So when I tune into this, I can feel this vibration. And when I'm in this church, I can feel this vibration coming up from the altar itself. And so I'm doing this meditation where I can just feel it coming in my hands, because I'm inviting the White Goddess to come in. Now, Jeff Carriera is going to be coming on in just a minute, I think. So we're going to change topics here real quick. But as I feel this vibration in my hand, then I concentrate on a person in front of me that's on the other side of the altar and open my hands up to them. And it feels like that White Goddess energy transfers. And they are opened up with that energy. And, we wouldn't have gotten to that place if we hadn't really learned the history of the White Goddess, heard the story about Charlemagne, and then we're willing to feel the vibrations of the land and go, wow, there's a presence here with that. So it all just kind of happens a lot of the times just by us paying attention to the history of the church, what the land feels like, and kind of feeling it in your gut, asking the questions. Because I'm asking the question, well, is this a domain of the White Goddess? And it feels very strong. I ask the question, is this the domain of Mother Mary? Super strong as well. So it kind of makes you wonder what kind of relationship those two have, or if they're not the same person or the same being, or they did not come from the same place. Of course, that may offend some people, but I really think that Mother Mary has a lot of connection to a lot of domains, a lot of places. She comes from the earth. If you want something done in earthbound situations, you ask Mother Mary. So I hope Jeff's going to come on in a few minutes. And so I'd just like to tell everybody that you are on Becoming Quantum Conscious on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3, broadcasting out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. And we are also on cable television, Roku. You can find us there. UPRN website, Roku, I said that, X, YouTube, and Facebook, and other internet platforms. And my name is Bart Sharp, and I am winging it tonight. I hope Jeff will come on. I'm just kind of waiting. I'm playing kind of an internet tag with him on email. So I hope he does come in. We'll just have to see how all of that works. so there's a lot to do with when you go into these churches about what you're looking for and what is there. One of my favorite churches is called Saint Salvaire, and there's lots of rumors with this great stories that this is where Yeshua died, and that's all interesting. I don't know exactly. Um, just a second, everybody. I think I got Jeff coming in, but I just don't know how to get this together. Um, so so Saint Salvaire is where some people say Yeshua died. And you can touch the altar, and his presence comes forth. It's really quite amazing. I just sent Jeff a message. That's why I was so distracted. I'm not a great multitasker. And so we would usually put our hands on the altar and ask for the presence of Yeshua to come in. And I have no idea. I don't want to start a controversy here because I really don't know where Yeshua died. What I do know is when I put my hands on that altar and other people put their hands on the altar, the presence of Yeshua shows up in a really huge way. When you're thinking about Yeshua, you're also thinking about a spirit that goes into the higher realms, like above the earth, whereas Mother Mary is in the ground, at the earth, kind of in two different dualities, goddess, God type of thing happening there. But I was looking at this church and seeing these figures carved on the corners on the outside of the church. And it was a little man, a man's head, a bull's head, an eagle's head, and a lion's head. And they had these little wings, you know. And I finally realized, like, wait a second, those are the chariots of fire. And I've always heard these stories about chariots of fire. And as I was explained to in a wonderful book called Law of Light by Lars Muhl, that's LarsMuhl, he was saying, well, the chariots of fire are what help the prophets and people like Yeshua and beings of higher realms to come to this reality. And of course, I see that in there. And I got to type Jeff in another email real quick. And I think we're just going to have to not have Jeff on the show because I don't know how to get him on the stage at this point. But just hang on and telling him that I do not know how to instruct him while being on the show. Let's reschedule. So sorry. Yeah, his work is so good, and I'm really disappointed that he is not going to be on the show tonight or today if you're in the United States. And I will hopefully have Jeff back because he's an extraordinary writer and teacher. And you should check out his website at Jeff, Jeff, Carriera, Carriera. Really some great work. His newest book, Transdimensional Spirituality, is amazing. That's what we were going to cover tonight. And wow, it's very challenging. It has some really good information with that. So Carrie Langdock has a really good comment here. She says, the fixed astrological points, Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo, grounding points, steady foundation. Carrie, you're saying that that's also what the chariots of fire represent as well as they're represented by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You know, there's a lot of mixed things with that, or mixed things. It's not like there's a controversy there. They just have a lot of different interpretations. What I have found, though, just in my own personal experience, thank you for putting that out, Carrie, is the chariots of fire do bring spirit in. And when I see them in a church, my interpretation is this is a church where you can bring spirits from higher dimensional realms into the church itself. And I know from experience, because I do this now at St. Salvaire. You know, now I kind of see that St. Salvaire is just beyond this beautiful little church that feels so wonderful and it's really easy to channel, but it's almost like a launching pad. In other words, you can bring spirits of Yeshua, but you can bring in higher prophets or other prophets. You could bring in Babaji, but also you could get into the highest realm of angels like the Elohim. You know, it's pretty limitless of what you can bring in. But the chariots of fire is what you do is you invite them in first. You ask the chariots of fire to come in, and it's as simple as that, like maybe holding your hands up, you know, and really getting your whole vibration of your body as if it's going up into the cosmos. And yes, it feels like, oh, that sounds so childish, or you're just making that up. And you kind of are. You're kind of making it up, but also your body is following that vibration, and the vibration of you goes into this place where the chariots of fire is, because you've just made that invitation happen. What I find, if you're doing it in the right place, like in one of these churches where it's been done before, a vibration of a higher realm seems to come in. All of a sudden, everything feels so much lighter. And that's what everybody tells me when they're summoned. It just feels very strong. Um, so after you have summoned those, then you can ask other beings to come in. Almost like bring in the party. Bring in those Elohim. Bring in the archangels. Bring in Master Yeshua. Or bring in other prophets that you see fit. It's almost like they open that up. Now, it also is a really good idea while you have that big opening, just to ask that question. Are there any tears in the fabric of light up there that I can send light to seal any darkness that might be coming in? You know, and if you're doing that type of work, it's really pretty simple. Just think of yourself as the conductor of an orchestra. And of course, what if you just summoned in? You've maybe have summoned in the Elohim angels, or your own angels, or archangels, or legions of angels, or I can't think of any other angels, but it's like you're the leader of that orchestra. So if you get this yes, that yes, there are tears in the fabric of light, all you have to do is imagine or visualize those angels go into that fabric of light and just healing the fissure, healing that tear. And this is really good work to do. I know people who do this, and it just makes a difference. And it's really strange, but all of these people who do this uh, seem to have a very strong light because a part of them is going into these higher realms. They may not realize it. They may be just, you know, standing at the altar or standing in a church, you know, a very physical thing. And they may think, well, I'm not going to those higher realms. But you really are. When you start to open up all of this stuff, it does, you know, and your vibration gets higher and higher. Now, of course, if your vibration is that much high, you also need to ground. You have to remember to bring your feet into the earth, your coccyx into the earth, allow the earth energy or vibrations to come into your perineum, fill the space between your hips with lots of energy so you can expand into earth energy. You know, you are an earth being. You function on earth. You got a job on earth. You got baby kids. You know, you got all of this stuff that you're responsible for. So you can't be leaving the planet all the time. You got a job to do here. So it's best to be grounded so you can actually get that stuff done. And it's great to go to these other realms, but, you know, it's, kind of difficult. Okay. So those are some of the things that you can do with this type of stuff at sacred sites. And that's what we do on these tours is go out and play in these realities. And the thing is that when you go to a sacred site, they were made to do this. They were done. Things were built sometimes, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago, or the church was built 1,500 years ago. And maybe they were on a pagan site that was 5,000 years ago and were maybe a church of Isis or a ISIS worship place or something like that. You never know how any of this stuff is. Um, and it's like you're connecting with all of this ancient stuff. It comes into your body, it changes you. Um, and if you're in the United States, you still have that opportunity to do things in the United States. It's just different. Of course, people love to go to Mount Shasta and Sedona and places like that. But for example, for me in Austin, Texas, my meditation world is very, very powerful. Why is that so? Seems like a pretty ordinary town. But what you think about Austin is like, what makes it so special are all the people. There are so many people experimenting on new projects, developing new businesses, making things happen, being inventors. It's an exciting time. You might even think about, well, that's kind of true in San Francisco or Los Angeles or, you know, those type of towns have those qualities. And so for me, I just feel like I'm connected to all of that when I'm in Austin meditating. So that useful, vibrant, inventive, creative energy I'm hooking into, and that facilitates my meditations in Austin. Of course, I'm always working with the earth. I'm working with the sun. I'm working with Yeshua. I'm working with Buddha. Sometimes I work with Mother Mary. You know, all of that stuff is pretty endless in the choices you have to work with. And what this does is it creates a greater space. And funny enough, this is exactly the topic that Jeff Carriera and I would be talking about today, I suspect, is what that great space of consciousness is. We just go to these sacred sites because it really expands something in our soul. Our heart feels bigger. Our second chakra might feel bigger, or other places in our body, or even just all the cells itself feel like they are full of light. This is the type of work that can happen for you. You can still do this in your own living room, your own bedroom. It doesn't take you to go to France, though. It's not a bad idea to go to France. Uh, so, you know, it's just a process of practice with all of this. That's what makes it, that's what's so important. So I'm just trying to think about more self sources with this. When we got about 10 more minutes in the show. And this is Bart is Winging It show on United Public Radio and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3. And we're talking about my favorite subject, which is doing energy work, becoming more conscious, becoming quantum conscious, and how it's done in the country of France, in Southwest France more specifically, because that's where I'm living for 6 months right now. And it's been a beautiful ride. And it's really funny with a lot of these sites because they're all coming from different sources. Some sites, it feels like a connection with the ground. Some sites feels like it's a connection with extraterrestrials. Some sites feel like they open up your heart. And some of my favorite sites, they feel like they're connected with the white goddess. Literally, when you put your hands on the altar, and a really good example is this Chateau de Pépertrus. That's a really good one. Uh, and there's another one, Rupestrie de Vals, which is west of Mirepoix, in case you're looking or you're living in the area. But both of those altars, when you put your hands on them and you ask, what is the energy of this altar, or what's your connection to the center of the earth, you know, and you start to bring your attention, like where your intention goes is where your vibration goes. So if I'm asking, well, where does this altar go to? And I feel like my intuition goes deep into the ground. I know that that's where the energy goes to, particularly with those two altars at Pépertrus and Vals. They go deep into the earth. And when you put your attention to going into the earth, all of a sudden, white light appears. And we're talking bright white light. And this is energy of the white goddess, or something like that. And it's a white goddess site, so to speak. And probably several thousand years ago, people realized this, that there was something special on this ground. So let's build a church there. And let's put the altar right where this white light energy is. That's where I think it really works. That's what I really believe was happened a long time ago for that white light to show up. And so you just learn how to tune into it. That's what's so magical about Southwest France is that there's so many sites like this. And then there's so many that were not even found yet. It seems like the people who came the generation before me were more historians. They were not psychics. They were not intuitives so much. Some were. But they were people that really wanted to learn through books and hear the tales and then go to the places and maybe feel them. But the new generations that's showing up, they just feel it. They're walking around out in the woods and trying to feel where these other sites are. And I'm in that school of thought. We're walking around out in the woods and trying to find these things. And it's a lot of fun. I have found 2 of them so far since I've been here since March. That's pretty good progress. And they're amazing. They change you. You learn how to vibrate a higher vibration. But let's just say that you're in New York City and you want to learn how to vibrate a higher vibration. You might just take all of your concentration or your intention. Your magical tool is your intention. And you take your intention and you place it into the middle of the earth, right where the magma is. Because the middle of the earth is very powerful. It's a very conscious place. It's kind of like the heartbeat of the earth, kind of. And you ask that higher consciousness, almost like a big volcano, to stream up and come into the space between your hips. You know, maybe if you're a woman, it would be going into your perineum and into your space between your hips, or a man up into your perineum, right into that place. Women would hold it in their biological womb. A man would hold it into more their ethereal womb. And you would just feel this volcanic energy flowing up into you super fast and filling you up with this high powered energy. And you would just build it into your womb for almost like it was so much energy that it could just about explode. Just fill it up as tightly as possible. And you'll be feeling more energized, more alive. And then when you really get good with that, you just fill up your whole body. And that's can be done anywhere on the planet. It's a really simple tool. It's just visualizing it, and you can pull that energy up in about 5 seconds, really fast. Doesn't take any time to get your attention to the center of the earth and bring it on up. It's just that quick. So the energy is everywhere, and you have every choice to make it happen and to bring it up. You can come to France or other places all around the world that have these experiences, and it's a great idea. I recommend it for everybody that's interested in this stuff. And we're coming to the end of the show. My name is Bart Sharp, and you are on Becoming Quantum Conscious. And we have just finished my first ad lib show. Jeff and I got our wires crossed, and I really hope I'll have him on the show again because he's an amazing person. He was on in November, and just have a lot of respect for him. And so I really thank everybody for coming in. And it says Phyllis Mim. Hi, Phyllis. Great talk, Bart. So good to hear what you're explaining again about awareness, etc. Yes, Phyllis was on one of my tours. And so next week, I'll be doing the show again. I was planning to do that show, and it would be about releasing depression, sadness, and hopelessness. And I'll be doing energetic clearings for the whole 55 minutes on this stuff. And you can just listen to that show and get all kinds of energetic clearings about sadness and depression and hopelessness and such. And you can listen to that show again and again and again, and it'll just keep clearing energies from it. I just thought that would be fun to do. And I hope to have Jeff on another time. And yeah, so I hope to see everybody next week. And until again, I wish everybody wonderful blessings on Becoming Quantum Conscious on United Public Radio and UFO Paranormal Radio. And we will see y'all next week. Many blessings. And thanks for tuning in on a ad lib night. Bye-bye.